Hey, it's me, Peter. I'd never told this story in full, not to a reporter, not to a friend over drinks, not even to myself in the mirror when I was rehearsing lines at 3 in the morning. But tonight feels right. Because if I can sit here and say it out loud, maybe it'll help one of you watching this, someone who's staring at a closed door right now, wondering if it's worth knocking again. The year was 1994. I was 25. Fresh out of Bennington College, still smelling like sawdust from the black box theater where I'd spent 4 years building sets as often as I was acting in them. I had this fire in my gut, this belief that talent and hustle could outrun anything, height, prejudice, the whole damn lottery of genetics. I'd done some off-Broadway stuff, a couple of student films that never saw daylight, but I was hungry. Starving, really. So when my agent, God, she was a saint, a woman named Marla who believed in me before I believed in myself, called and said, Pete, there's an open call for a new play at the Public Theater. Sam Shepard. They're looking for a character actor for the role of Austin in True West. I nearly dropped the phone. Sam Shepard! The public! This wasn't some fringe festival in a church basement. This was the big leagues, or at least the doorway to them. I spent 2 weeks preparing. I memorized both brothers' parts, Austin and Lee. I stood in my tiny Hell's Kitchen apartment, barely bigger than a closet, and rehearsed in front of a cracked mirror until my throat was raw. I wore the same thrift store blazer every day so it would feel lived in. I even practiced walking into the room like I belonged there. Shoulders back, eye contact, smile just enough to say, I'm here to work, not to beg. The audition was on a Tuesday in October. I remember the chill in the air, the way the leaves skittered across Lafayette Street like they were trying to escape the city. I got there early. Too early. Sat in the holding area with a dozen other guys, all of us pretending to read sides while stealing glances at each other. Tall guys, brooding guys, guys who looked like they'd been born to play cowboys or drifters. And then there was me, 4'5" in boots. I felt every inch of the difference. They called us in groups of 5. My group was last. We filed into the audition room, a black box with scuffed floors and folding chairs in a semicircle. The director was there, a name I recognized from playbill bios. The casting director, a couple of assistants scribbling notes, and Sam Shepard himself leaning against the back wall, arms crossed, watching like a hawk. I was fourth in line. The first guy went solid but safe. Second guy tried too hard, overacted the rage. Third guy, man, he was good. He had this quiet menace that made the room still. I could feel my pulse in my teeth. Then it was my turn. I walked to the center of the room. The tape mark on the floor felt like a trap door. I introduced myself. Peter Dinklage, playing Austin. My voice didn't shake. Not yet. I started the scene. Austin at the typewriter. Lee. I'd worked on the rhythm for days. The way Austin's politeness cracks under pressure. The way he's desperate to hold on to control. I let the words live in my body. I wasn't acting small. I was being Austin. Trapped. Cornered. Trying to write his way out of a life that was closing in. Halfway through, yeah, I felt it. The shift. The director stopped writing. The casting director leaned forward. Sam Shepard uncrossed his arms. I thought, this is it. This is the moment. I'd finished. The silence stretched. Not the good kind. The kind where you can hear your own blood. Finally, the director cleared his throat. Thank you, Peter. That was interesting. But we're looking for someone who can physically dominate the space when Lee enters. The brothers need to feel like equals in their chaos. You understand? I nodded, smiled, said, of course, thank you for your time. But inside, I was screaming. I walked out of that room and down the hall, past the other actors waiting their turn. One of them, a guy I recognized from a workshop, gave me a pitying half smile, like he'd heard, like they all had. I didn't cry on the subway. Not yet. I sat there staring at my reflection in the window, the city light smearing across my face like wet paint, and I kept hearing it over and over. Physically dominate the space, as if my body was a flaw, as if everything I'd poured into that monologue, every ounce of truth, every sleepless night wasn't enough because I couldn't reach the top shelf. I got home, slammed the door so hard, the hinges rattled, and stood in the middle of my apartment, just stood there. The blazer felt like a costume now. It hit the wall and slid down like a dead thing. I remember whispering to myself, you're done. This is it. You're a novelty, a gimmick. Go get a real job. I thought about my parents. My dad, a retired insurance salesman who'd driven me to every community theater audition when I was a kid. My ma who'd sewn costumes until her fingers bled. They'd believe That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the fire escape with a bottle of cheap whiskey and stared at the brick wall across the alley. The city hummed below. Sirens, laughter, life going on without me. I thought about quitting, about moving back to New Jersey, about becoming a teacher maybe. Something safe, something where height didn't matter, but then something shifted. I went back inside around 4 a.m. The apartment was cold. I pulled out my dog-eared copy of Waiting for Godot. I'd understudied Lucky in college, never went on, but I knew the speech by heart, the one where Lucky finally explodes after years of silence. I read it aloud, pacing the floorboards. Given the existence of a personal God outside time, who from the heights of divine apatia loves us dearly with some exceptions, I stopped. My voice cracked because Lucky wasn't small. He was burdened. He carried the weight of silence, of being overlooked, of being used. And when he finally spoke, the world had to listen. I thought, that's me. That's been me my whole life. I didn't quit. Instead, I got ruthless. Started saying no to roles that wanted a dwarf character. No leprechauns, no elves, no comic relief with a high-pitched voice. I turned down gigs that paid rent because they made me feel like a prop. I waited tables at a vegan restaurant in the East Village. Horrible tips, but it kept me in the city. I crashed on friends' couches when the rent was late. I auditioned for everything: student films, indie theater, voiceover booths where they couldn't see me. And I worked. God, I worked. I took acting classes with anyone who'd have me. I took acting classes with anyone who'd have me. Studied with a woman named Anne who'd been in the original cast of a chorus line. She made me do the same scene 50 times until I hated it. Then one more time until I loved it again. I read Stanislavski until my eyes burned. I watched Brando, Pacino, Gary Oldman, anyone who could disappear into a role. I started writing my own monologues, short plays, things I could perform in bars for tips. There was this one night, I must have been 27 by then, at a tiny theater in Brooklyn, maybe 30 seats. The play was called The Dwarf Plays Chess, something I'd written after too many rejections. It was about a man who wins every game but loses everyone who loves him. I played the lead. Opening night, there were 12 people in the audience. One of them was a producer named David. After the show, he came up to me, said, "You're not acting like a little person. You're acting like a person. That's rigor." He handed me his card. 2 months later, I was in LA auditioning for a film called The Station Agent. Oh, written and directed by Tom McCarthy, who'd seen that Brooklyn show. You know the rest. The Station Agent premiered at Sundance. I won awards I never thought I'd touch. Then Game of Thrones, Tyrion Lannister. 8 seasons of a character who was brilliant, flawed, funny, broken, and never once defined by his height except when he weaponized it. But here's the thing. Without the director's polite dismissal, without the silence that followed my monologue like a slammed door, that rejection didn't just break me, it shattered me, and in the pieces I found something sharper, harder, truer. I learned that the world will try to put you in a box. Sometimes it's a small box. Sometimes it's a beautiful box with velvet lining. But it's still a box. And the only way out is to burn it down from the inside. I stopped auditioning to be seen. I started auditioning to be heard, to force them to lean in, to make them forget what they thought they were looking for. There's a line from Hamlet I come back to. The readiness is all, not talent, not luck. Readiness, the willingness to show up after you've been told no, to prepare when no one's watching, to believe your story matters even when the room goes silent. I still have that blazer, by the way. The one I threw across the room in 1994. It's in a box in my closet, frayed at the cuffs. I kept it as a reminder, not of the rejection, but of the night I decided to keep going. So if you're watching this and you've had a door slammed in your face, good, let it echo. Let it rattle your bones. Then walk to the next one like you own the building. Because the moments that break us, they're not the end. They're the foundation, the cracked earth and where something stronger grows. Thank you for listening. Really, if this helped you even a little, pay it forward. Tell your story, the messy one, the one you're scared to say out loud. Someone out there needs to hear it.